Good day everyone, operator Starsky here with a short report on 108th day of Russian invasion in Ukraine. How many more days left, you may ask, and this is a very good question. According to our intelligence, Russia had enough resources to continue their operation, so-called, in Ukraine for about 120 days since the beginning of this invasion. And after this period of time, the situation will depend on multiple factors like captured strategical locations, number of their own casualties, and of course their ability to hold those territories under control. According to Serhiy Haidai, chief of military administration of Luhansk, Ukrainian armed forces show superiority over orcs in terms of urban combat, but their artillery keeps demolishing the city building after building. So as soon as orcs are pushed out of a city block, they bring artillery and tanks in order to demolish this city. And this information pretty much corresponds to the videos that were sent to me by my fellow National Guardsmen deployed in the area. Ukrainian armed forces managed to successfully defend against Russian attacks in the area of Severodonetsk and Slovyansk, despite all the efforts, despite all the troops that were thrown at them. But situation is very hard because Russians have superiority in artillery. We are talking about one Ukrainian artillery system versus as much as 10 Russian artillery systems. Such a big difference in artillery is mainly the reason why Ukrainian forces take a lot of casualties in this area on a daily basis. According to Mr. Podolyak, counselor for the Office of President of Ukraine, between 100 and 200 Ukrainian soldiers are being lost every day due to artillery fire. Of course, we could avoid such casualties had we had enough artillery at least 2 months ago. Also, the highway between Bakhmut and Lysychansk is still under control of Ukrainian forces, but it's being shelled very hard. This is why it's very dangerous to perform such operations as delivery of humanitarian aid as well as evacuation of civilian population. Because of high casualty rate in Donbass, Russia has deployed a new field hospital near Belgorod, specifically near Shebekino, and meanwhile, Belarus is bringing its troops to a higher level of combat readiness, processing new measures for recruiting men and bringing its weapons and equipment from the storages. How dangerous is that? According to my information and my own calculations, Belarus can provide around 35,000 men, and this number is roughly the half of all Russian troops that are present currently on the territory of Ukraine. However, their skills, their morale, and of course their experience is not significant because we're talking about a country that didn't participate in any combat since the war in Afghanistan. Actually, their army reminds me pretty much of Ukrainian army in 2010 or around this period of time, because back then our army was really poor and pretty much destroyed by pro-Russian politicians and corrupted leaders that fled to Rostov during Revolution of Dignity in Ukraine. The death penalty for Aidan Eslin, Sean Pinner and Saudun Brahim that were captured in Mariupol has been recognized today as a war crime by the United Nations. The reason for that is that those 3 soldiers were officially employed in Ukrainian armed forces, and they were captured as representatives of Ukrainian armed forces. This war crime will be investigated by the United Nations, along with other war crimes that were performed by Russian troops on the territory of Ukraine, because as we know, on the 12th of May this year, United Nations voted for investigating atrocities and war crimes made by Russian troops on the territory of Ukraine. Speaking of crimes, a new group of French investigators are working in the area of Chernihiv, examining remains of civilian structures that were hit or destroyed by Russian weapons. And we are talking about weapons experts, French investigators who joined their colleagues that were investigating atrocities in Bucha. According to Attorney General of Ukraine, it's been already 2 months since French investigators are working in those areas, collecting evidence against Russian war criminals. And another good news from Severodonetsk, according to Sergei Haidai, Russian officers decided to have a briefing in the local Palace of Culture. And of course, Ukrainian special forces would also like to participate in that briefing. That's why they attended the briefing, improving multiple Russian officers, resulting in them becoming good. I would like to add some more positive for today's news. I think you guys probably missed those famous Tik Tok Spetsnaz warriors of Kadyrov, and those guys just keep producing content, bringing us a lot of cheers and joy. Here we can see those lads gloriously running for no reason whatsoever. Of course, this might be happening in a dangerous zone, but I can see 0 soldiers providing covering fire, and I must admit, I suck as a press officer comparing to this brave cameraman that made this beautiful video, because he seems to be standing directly in the line of fire. Press F to pay respect, my friends, because I think that this courageous Kadyrovite absolutely deserved this.